Greetings and salutations, Geo nerds. If you're the type of person who likes to eat one of these, well, maybe not a whole one every now and then, and you're the type of person that likes to eat a bit of this or a combination of the two, and you might want to know how one of these is going to help you be able to do it. Stick around, you'll find out. Hey Geo nerd, sorry about that long intro, but you know, music was too damn good. Couldn't stop it. Some nice imagery of the Northern Territory there for you. So what are we talking about today? Rock phosphate. Well, phosphorite is any rock that contains phosphates. And rock is a good source of phosphorus, as long as it's not contaminated with other metals like, you know, cadmium and other nasty impurities. But if it's the right phosphate rock and it's used effectively, it's an excellent source of long-lasting phosphate. Can be granulated, applied directly to a crop, and it can be a great source of slow release phosphorus. Or you can take it to the next level and turn it into superphosphate. And I'll put a diagram up in the middle. This makes it more biodegradable. It makes it more bioavailable. It is biodegradable actually. And the fertiliser companies can remove any nasty contaminants like, you know, cadmium and all sorts of other horrible things, and they can also add some of their little secret herbs and spices in there to help the plants grow. But that's hardly an organic fertiliser by the time you take it to that far, but it still works. We import about 400,000 tonnes of this stuff a year. We import it from Africa, and the African stuff's got cadmium in it, and we also used to import it from Russia, but apparently that's got too much C4 in it. So these mines we're going to talk about today, these deposits, can easily meet all of Australia's, New Zealand's needs with plenty to spare for export capacity, you know, to fill the gap in the world, since some of these big players are having a little issue getting along with their neighbours, and people won't buy things off them. So why do we need phosphates? Well, Australia's soils are phosphate deficient, as are New Zealand's soils, but they suffer from the same symptom, but for diametrically opposed reasons. Australian soils are really old, and the phosphates have long been leached out of them. Kiwi soils are very new. The phosphates haven't had time to concentrate in them. I once knew a Kiwi farmer, and he told me if you see a green paddock on the South Island of New Zealand, it's been sprayed with superphosphate. And I suppose that's why they have the most amazing crop duster pilots on Earth, because you know, they're a bit different, crop duster pilots. I've had a pilot's licence for 30 years, and crop duster pilots are very different. They can do things with aeroplanes that aeroplanes were never designed to do. But yeah, they'll do things with planes carrying a ton of product as well. So amazing guys, a lot of respect for them, don't get me wrong, but are they nut jobs? Yeah, they have to be. Well, there is another form of phosphate, guano. This is Nauru. I'm sure we've all heard of it for all the wrong reasons lately. But this place, around the turn of the century, they discovered that there was a great big thick plateau of phosphate rock there. So they started mining it. I suppose the fact the first shipload coming to Queensland sunk should have been a bit of an omen, but they have absolutely destroyed the structure of the island. These are limestone pillars that are remaining. It was calcium diphosphate that was there, which was an interaction between the bird poo and the limestone. And now the limestone is all leaching and falling apart, and the island is basically buggered. They're still mining a little bit of phosphate there, but it's basically stuffed, and the Nauruans can only live in the tiny little bit around the edges because the entire plateau is destroyed. Now, they never really lived on the plateau anyway, but they used to farm up there. Now it's just a wasteland. So And that has happened on many, many islands that had guano deposits, both in the Pacific and in the Atlantic. So yeah, that was not a great place to get our fertiliser from. That's quite good fertiliser. Not anymore. Well, here we are, folks, geostationary again. Get the sick bags out, we're going in. 34,000 kilometres up, cruising down on top of Western Queensland. No looking at the Diamantina ring. If you haven't seen that, look at that video, it's pretty interesting. It was my previous video. What we're doing is we're going into the area which is basically the southern Selwyn Ranges. If you look carefully, you can see Mount Isa there just disappearing. That's in the northern Selwyn Ranges. This is a place called Phosphate Hill. This mine's fairly well established, as you can see, and there's a railway line coming in there from the Great Northern Line, and that little shed you can see by itself, that's the new Corella deposit. Not to be confused with the Corella deposit in Western Australia, which is a nickel deposit. There's Monument Airfield, there's the little town they've built to service this, and over here we go. This is where the Ardmore mine is going to be. It's quite a lot more advanced, it's pretty old data, so it's all through that area there, and here is the pilot plant. You'll see in some photos later that's moved on quite a bit. So folks, where are we in this big brown land? Hey, well, there's the Barkly Tableland, extends from the Northern Territory right through into Western Queensland. Here's a satellite photo of it. It's not that easy to see, so I'll drop a purple line around it for you. Big grasslands, beautiful piece of the country if you like red and if you like dirt, because there's a lot of it there. And underneath this is a place called the Georgina Basin. This is currently being explored for all sorts of minerals, including fossil fuels, etc. And here it is here. It's a fairly large basin. These are left over from the inland seas. Here it is here. This thing is up to 4 kilometres thick. There's a lot of sedimentary rock here, and it contains all sorts of things. But how did it get its name on here, you say? I think we'll, young lady, tell you that.
Hello, my name is Georgina Kennedy. My daddy was the governor of Queensland, and he named a big river after me in Western Queensland. It's very important, I think.
So yeah, the Georgina Basin was named after the Georgina River. Our phosphate deposits are here, just off the Burke River, and the bottom edge of the Georgina Basin, and they're significant deposits. I'm just going to go to a geology map now. I'm not even going to try and explain it. The Ardmore's in the middle there, but that pink stuff, by the way, is the Salina granite, which is the pavers in the Queen Street Mall. So there you go. Here's our LiDAR, Selwyn Ranges, unbelievably good looking bit of gear. Here are our two mines down here, Mount Isa in the middle there. And just going to have a quick look at the next LiDAR, which is a little more high res. You can probably see the railway line coming in there, and there we go, the Ardmore's over there. So I've got an aerial photograph of Ardmore, which is a little more current. Ardmore's been developing very quickly, as you can see. This is the upper pit. The lower pit, and the plant that's going in there is going to process this fertiliser through to a final product. So here's a copy of the plant. Yeah, she saw it at the beginning. That's it. Can't remember who made it, but my God, it looks impressive. It's actually bigger than this. Wouldn't fit on the screen. I just thought I'd show you a photo of the. This is a Apple Maps view, and look at the white dots in the top. They're all the drill holes, the exploration holes. It shows you they've drilled a lot of holes here to find out what's going on. And here's a plan of what Ardmore's going to look like when it's finished. And the bit we just looked at is this bit down here. So it's going to be a significant development. There's no question of that. Just an illustration, folks. This is a radiometric map of the area. It just goes to show you, here's Ardmore and here's Phosphate Hill. Nothing. Because even though this thing does detect phosphates, they're not on the surface, and this is a surface map. So anyway, I went to the trouble looking at it. I thought, oh, there's nothing there. What a bummer. Well, folks, here's a Queensland rail map of Queensland, and when you look out at Mount Isa there, you see the rail doesn't go straight to Mount Isa, and there's a reason for that. That rail was built through there in the early 1900s to service the sheep, cattle, and mining industry. and Mount Isa didn't exist. So it was built onto Mount Isa in the 1930s when Mount Isa was established, and they built a new line down to this thing and down to this mining area, and I'll mark it here now. So those trains can go from there straight to Townsville to a port and get access to the world. Well, folks, I've put the map for Ardmore back up because we'll just talk a little more. That's the one that's developing now. They reckon they've got enough ore there for 35 years, and it's extremely high-grade ore. Over 30% phosphate in places, so it looks like it's going to be pretty good. And the unfortunate thing is they've got some impurities in it. Our Australian phosphates are fairly clean. They don't contain a lot of contaminants, but Ardmore does. It's got 2 contaminants in it. One is called yttrium, which is a rare earth metal used in the electronics and used in everything really, but rare earth magnets in particular. And the other one is lithium. Damn, what are we going to do with all this stuff? I think I know. So that's not going to hurt them at all. They'll be ripping that lithium and that yttrium out for sure. And it may end up like the Indooroopilly silver mine, producing more lead than silver. I think this may produce more revenue through the yttrium than the lithium does with the phosphates. Who knows? So should we mine this stuff? Shit, yeah. We've got to mine it. It's crazy. We don't have to mine it. Like, you know, we don't have to eat. But I think that cat has left the sandbox. If we're going to feed 8+ billion souls, we need phosphates. And we can't rely on bird poo. It isn't going to work. And we got phosphates. So, you know, I think Australia's in an amazing position. This sort of mining gets me excited. Coal, yeah, no, my grandfather was a coal miner. I didn't care if we never mined another piece of coal. I don't think too many miners do either, frankly. But gas, great stuff if we didn't stop giving the stuff away. But anyway, don't start me. So this is an awesome thing. I'm going to keep an eye on it. If I see any developments I think are worth talking about, I'll run up another video. There are other phosphate mines in Australia, not just these 2. There are other phosphate mines in Queensland. There are a shitload of phosphate mines in the Northern Territory, again in the Georgina Basin. But I think these 2 are probably a fairly decent cross-section to give you an idea of what's going on. So anyway, keep rocking. T-Rock's out.